See?
Tonight I got Sandy on with me, who runs our Portage Westfield group. So very happy to have you. She's a psychic medium, and I'll let her tell you about herself, because it's boring if I say it.
It's not boring if you say. You probably talk about me better than I can about myself. So I am a psychic medium. I've done this since I was 3. I heard my first calling at 3. Woke up in the middle of the night with the deepest man's voice and didn't know who it was. And my mom to this day can actually tell you, she remembers the day that I ran in her room like, Mom, who called? So, and then I hear that man's voice still to this day. So 45 years later, it's a long time.
So who do you think it is?
Honestly, it is my guide. I don't think he's not like Steve. Your Steve is very special. He's kind of the one that, he will tell me when I'm going the wrong way. You hear this voice very correcting, Sandy? No. But I joke about Jose all the time, but I do believe that that's probably his name. He hasn't given me his name, and it's been a long time.
They don't care whatever name, because, Steve's not his name either. It's just the name I gave him because I couldn't pronounce what he was trying to tell me.
Exactly. But they talk in such a higher tone.
Right.
Than where we're at. But he's got a deep voice, but it's just where the vibration is to why we don't hear it exactly perfect.
That's awesome. Hey, we got a ton of people in the room already.
Awesome.
We have Nate, and we have Nancy and Mar and Tracy Brown and Donna, Linda, Jan is here, Susan Martin's watching, Alma's here, Kat is here. She says she's excited to hear Sandy speak, and I'm doing all the talking. And then Denise. So a lot of people. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Excited to hear Sandy speak. So.
Yeah, some of these people are my crystal people, because not only am I a psychic medium, I also bless and cleanse homes. I like to actually make special fragrances, or should I say special smudges, for the different places that I go to. I listen to spirit and I put it together as I feel it should be. So a lot of these people I have either read for, or I sell my crystals to. So they're either my crystal people, or I'm very blessed to have wonderful people around me. And you, of course, are one.
Even Miss Andy's here tonight.
Yay!
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Andy.
And Miss Sharon. And I'm sure Greg will stop in sometime. I'm so blessed to be able to finally be myself and not hide. That's one thing Psychics Unite helped me do. I remember meeting you, and I just was like, oh my God, I can talk to him, and he understands exactly how I felt, and I'm so thankful.
Why don't we tell everybody how we met?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, it was the night we were about to do a gallery show across the street from the event Sandy was at. And where was that? It wasn't at
Brandon in Madison.
Yeah. And we were across the street at the Dance Life Studios going to do our gallery reading. And so we were early, and we decided to come over and just see who was over at the, show. Wasn't that a Ken show?
Yes. Ken had a writing show.
Yeah. And so Ken was there. And so we were walking around meeting people and talking, because we had some time before setup, and we met Sandy, and Sandy and I clicked the moment we saw each other. So it's been really freaking cool. She was just, I knew how special she was, and her gifts were so strong, and I just knew it from the moment I met you. And we've been together ever since. So
we've had some really cool times, and we've done some cool stuff. Like that day, like you were telling me about something you were working on, and I totally gave you everything that you already knew, which was awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And then, when we were in Princeton, I gave a reading outside, and the lady came in by you and got the same reading.
And we met some fun people when we were in Chicago together, at Ursula's event. Brandy was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiffany, and so we met a lot of cool people. We've given a lot of very similar readings, and that's what's so cool about it. So.
Oh, that and Greg too. Like that night, Spirit was strong at night, and it just guided me to get up, and I had to write down everything I needed to know. And I'm sitting next to Greg, and we're talking, and I'm like, I have this and I think it was a Navy. I had it all written down, and he actually kept the paper. He's like, that's my dad. And I'm like, I don't know. I just knew it was for somebody who was here, and it was going. And I got some cool stuff for Ursula that she had needed too that night. Like it was flowing like normal, you know?
Yeah, it was great. Greg always comes in the room later too. So
yeah,
the chat room is going crazy tonight. So if I miss you guys, welcome everybody, and we'll keep going. So when was the first time? So let's go back and kind of delve into your history. I mean, how did you know you talked to spirits?
When I was told that person isn't there, that imaginary friend that you're sitting there, you're playing with. So I'm an only child. So yes, sometimes they figure kids make, an imaginary friend because they don't have a brother or sister to play with, but you can't be sitting there having a full-on conversation. And then I was always told, Sandy, stop it. Sandy, don't do that. Who are you talking to? Well, I knew I was talking to somebody, but my mom didn't. And then that kind of made me like hide it from everybody,
right. So when was that? What years?
That was like 3, 4, 5. And then I was in a daycare, and I remember reading, I didn't remember until I had like a whole shamanic journey with Becky Joe, which was really cool. And I don't know, it wasn't a shamanic journey. It was more like a healing. And he brought it out, and I am like, oh my God, because I could take you right to this place in Chicago. I can go, here is where this happened, because it just stuck, And I remember telling this teacher that I was talking to her about her grandfather, and he was coming through. And I remember her just like, you're lying, you're not telling the truth. And I remember getting in trouble for that. And that's where like the starting to like not push it down, but like not tell anybody, not want to tell anybody, and
I definitely know, because it was that way for me.
It is. And then you wonder, okay, what's wrong with me? Like, am I nuts? Why am I getting this? And then as I grew older, I could dream. I did a lot of dream work, and I could hear the people that I knew. And I don't know if that was because of, I knew their voice, but I could help the people and talk to the people that I knew. And I still have this dream today that I have miles and miles of people that I need to help. They're standing in line waiting for me to help them. So I know I'm on the right path. We
definitely do. That's for sure.
Yeah. We have miles of people to help, and I'm here, to do that.
That's cool. So yeah, I mean, I understand it too, because it wasn't until college when Ghostbusters came out. That's why I always wear my Slimer shirt. By the way, Greg is behind Shadow Hunters tonight. So everybody say hi to Greg. He's there controlling the room tonight for us. So thank you, Greg.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
But it wasn't until the 80s that Ghostbusters came out that I finally, started feeling normal for the first time in my life. It took a lot of years, from the 60s to 80s. That's 20-some years before I actually started feeling it. And it didn't help. It took a lot longer than that for me to come out. But it was that time. It was kind of funny as I was talking to a gentleman called Patrick Burns, and we just actually talked today. It was kind of funny because when we were kids about that age, when I went to college and when the Ghostbusters came out, we used to come to my house and watch Ghostbusters. And it was really cool. We used to talk about it all the time and that type of stuff. Well, move fast forward into history. He was on one of the first paranormal TV shows on True TV, Haunting Evidence. And he was the main cast member of one of the first shows. And I asked him to be on my radio show one night, and he said, and because I was on radio then and I was just starting, and he said, sure. And then we started talking to each other, and I said, so where are you from? He goes, Illinois. And I said, oh, where in Illinois? And he said, like Gray's Lake or somewhere right outside of Gray's Lake, and right outside where Six Flags was. And I said, well, I worked in Six Flags. I'm from Racine. He said, well, so did I. I said, what years did you work? He said, 87. I said, so did I. And we ended up finding out that I was the one that told him that ghosts wasn't scary.
Yeah.
And I showed him what ghosts were and how he could figure it out. And he still sees and he interacts with spirits to today. So it's amazing how the universe puts us together, and then the right people, even though you get pushed down even though all this time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, everything seems like, honestly, the day that I met you at Ken's affair, you gave me your card, or actually Andy gave me your card, and I gave it to my mom, and my mom couldn't find the card, and she felt so bad. And she's like, Sandy, I lost that card. And I told her, I said, well, you lost the card. It's for a reason. You lost it for a reason. This isn't the right time. And she was so upset. And then we met again, and that was it. I was like, that's it, and it's just clicked since. And I knew I was where I needed to be. Like, I appreciate you guys for doing this, like you and Terry putting this together, because it makes people really feel like they're okay. Like we're normal, we're not outsiders. There's others.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing that Psychics United is here. So we can actually make people feel comfortable with their gifts and themselves with no judgment. So, there's no judgment. We're there to help everybody for their beliefs, and it's a place they need to come out. That's for sure. Well, I wish I had it, and I bet you wish you had it when you were younger.
I do. I really do, because, and like now today, like people will bring their kids to me to see me at a show. And I just tell them, don't ever discard them, don't discard them, because that's really probably what they're seeing, and just listen and find someone for them, like yourself or me, so that they can talk to them and tell them what's going on, because there's nothing wrong with them. Kids are so much more open than adults, because we tend to like rationalize it and be like, nope, that's not it. Where kids are open to it. So it's I'm just so thankful, and it makes life easier knowing there's other people out there.
Well, that's right. Devin had her first meeting tonight on Zoom from Columbus, Ohio. So they had their first meeting tonight. So congratulations, Devin.
Congratulations, Devin.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I'm very excited to see that blossoming there in Ohio.
I know. Where are we now? We're Wisconsin, Ohio, New Mexico. New Mexico, Albuquerque. Where else are we? Indiana?
Yep.
Illinois?
Yep. We have 12 groups, 13 groups so far. So, and then we're also getting one to start here in Minnehaha. No, not Minnehaha. White Bear Lake, but that's north of Minneapolis. So we're going to get our first Minnesota group going too. So I'm very excited. And that water went down the wrong throat. Sorry about that. But Terry was talking about it, anniversary today for me. I lost my job a year ago today.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That year went by so fast.
I know, because I'm doing readings every day.
And that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. And it didn't feel like a year to me. I mean, it's like super fast, even with all the coronavirus and everything that's going on that's hurting everybody. I had a pretty decent year, and I feel very blessed about that.
I said the same thing yesterday to somebody. I said, as rough as 2020 has been, with my crystal business, with readings, helping people, it's
right. See, it's still there. I don't know why. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, everybody at home, for me coughing. Yeah.
Acknowledge and tell it to go.
It's a paranormal show. I'm coughing.
You're coughing.
Dun.
Yeah, and I mean, too, like, just to say this for other people who are out there, like, I went to Catholic school, and I'm just spiritual, but, like, I thought something was wrong. Like, you asked me, like, I went to Catholic school, and a lot of that has poo-pooed the psychics, and stuff like that. And then I went into Wiccan, and I studied Wiccan, and I studied Buddhism, and I've done some Native American, and I've just done so many. And I approach it with a multi-faith. I don't believe that we need to be one of anything. Right.
I believe we need to be one of one. We need to be one with everybody. We're all God. We're all one in the universe. And let's not get into religions, but when you studied all those, what did you find similarities, or did you find major differences?
No, I found similarities, and what I meant, why I brought that up was because that was part of my path too. Like you had said, you wanted to know where my path was, and it led me to learn so much different things, to actually study and just look into everything. I needed to find each part of me, so it really, I'm thankful because I can do a multi and just understand it all. So.
Right. That was neat. I mean, that sounds very similar to my wife, Terry. she did that too. She studied the other religions, and then then she looked at Christianity and just found that there's holes in every one. That being the spiritual from the spiritual side is definitely the way to go, because it's not about power. It's about one. It's about healing. It's about love.
Yes.
And that's the most important things. And that's what I wish everybody would see, even through all these rough times, the coronavirus and people not wearing masks, the elections, whatever side you're on. In the old days, I never remembered, especially in the 60s and stuff. It was late 60s, early 70s, but I don't remember the divide from people who voted differently. That just seems to be a relatively new thing. That's just kind of weird. Allow people to feel what they feel, let them live their lives to their fullest. And we're just here to bless them and be together, but now it's got to be one way or the other way. And otherwise you can't be my friend.
Yeah. I don't look at people as anything but the person standing in front of me and the beautiful soul that I need to talk to, or it doesn't matter who they are, and I wish more people could see that. And I'm thankful that going through what I did, I learned to not judge. You never know, never know who an angel is around the corner, Right. You never know who really needed you to smile at them just to get them through the day.
And you never really know until you meet them, somebody from your past lives, somebody that's in your life this time, in your soul circle. Mm-hmm. There's so many connections like that. And I've been seeing so much more. And that's the one thing in my readings, I've been getting a lot more. So many people have a connection with these soul people. And I wanted to talk about it tonight and I wanted to get your opinion. Because even though you're in your soul circle, doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be with that person the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is my twin flame. Okay. But that doesn't mean that you have to be together. It just means that you have that love with somebody and some soul from some aspect, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that this life is right for the two of you to be together.
Well, I do believe in that because I have two guy friends that are actually my husband's friends, but we became very, very close. One is Willie and one is Paul, and they were brothers. I mean, I think that we might have probably me and Paul were probably twin flames in another life. I do believe so because we were just that close. But at the same time, it ended up being he was like my brother. I could have talked to him about things that girls and guys don't talk about. You know what I mean?
Right.
And and you're right. It was in another life. And, the same for Willie. Willie was definitely a brother. He was my brother, but in another life.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people take that too much because then they worry about that in their relationships and stuff. Well, this person feels like my twin flame. Probably was. But It doesn't mean that it's your twin flame in this life. Right.
Well, we always, the journeys change. We have different things. We still stay on a journey, but when we come back, it's sometimes a different journey. And we may meet that person, but they're not the right person for this time. Correct. They were the right person for that time, not this time here.
Yeah. And I've also had some very wonderful people that have come into my lives that I have had from soul life that they played a different role in this life for me. We're no longer together. And we're, no longer close. And it's just that we have to honor that they're here to teach us in every life, and we're there to teach them. So it's a combination of growth in the spiritual realm, But everybody thinks it always has to be one way, and it doesn't. And that's what people get confused. And before I get going and jump back to Sandy here, anyone that's watching in the room, welcome. Thanks, everybody. Sorry we can't say hi to everybody. Hopefully we did. But if you're here watching, if you have questions or for me or for Sandy, please go ahead and put them in the chat room. I'm looking down. It's right here. Everybody can see it. So I can see what you're messaging. So we're right there as we talk. So feel free. We'll be happy to answer questions. But I'm glad you feel like that because, two people get too caught up in that and think that, that they have to forgive things. This life has to be about you. It doesn't have to be about anybody else. You're the only one that makes your own happiness or unhappiness.
Exactly. And, even though they're your twin flame, they might not be vibrating right now at the same vibration. Sometimes we have really, really good friends and we're really close for a long time. And then sometimes we're not friends anymore, but we're not as, not as close as we were. And it's that vibrational change, and when as you raise it, you can definitely tell the difference.
Oh yeah, you definitely do.
Life goes.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. I get that all the time about the people. I know we got it in Psychics Unite on Monday at our meeting. Oh, by the way, there are Monday nights on Zoom. Check out my Facebook page or Sandy's, and the links will be on there to come in for everybody to join us, because we'd be happy to have everybody join us. Free meeting place that you find your family and find, togetherness. And Sandy's a wonderful leader, and we're super to have her with us, so because we're all family once we're in, It's kind of like the mafia. You can't get out.
You're in. You're in.
If you're in, you can't get out.
You're stuck. No, I will haunt you. No, I'm kidding. Greg will be in the room. Sandy's here.
Greg, yeah. Greg from Greg that we met at, you met in Chicago. He's in the chat room. So.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. Like, being it, and he'll just feel the energy. Sandy's here.
Yeah.
I told Andy I was nervous. Like, she was messaging me because I was like, I wonder if my phone's working, because I put it on Do Not Disturb, and I am not technical savvy at all. Like, no. So I'm like, I hope my phone's working. So I messaged Andy. I'm like, is my phone working? And I go, I'm nervous. She goes, yeah, I felt that like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, oh yeah, 10 minutes ago. You're exactly right. Exactly right. I'm like, is it setting right? Do I look right? I'm like, just being typical me. It's got to be perfect.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, and Sandy and Andy, very close friends of both of us. They were out doing some Thelma and Louise today.
Oh, yes. We were Thelma Louise, and we even got pulled over because I blew a red light. I owned up to it, though. I was like, I know I blew the red light. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for girls, that helps. For guys, no, here's your ticket.
I think he was just more like thinking I was nuts, because I was like thinking about 10 things. So I don't see very well driving at night. So I don't like to drive at night. So I was on time crunch because we were having fun at the casino. Too long. But so whatever. But yeah, I tried to stop, but I didn't think I could stop. So I went through it. And I think because I just was honest and I owned it. And he was like, yeah, I'm just going to give you a warning. I'm like, thank you. Because I don't need to tell my husband I got a ticket. But yeah.
Yeah. So it says on here, they were talking about, do connected souls from past lives follow each other into new lives? Yes. What do you think? I
think we do. But I do think, like you said, sometimes they play different roles in our lives this time. And sometimes we do repeat, but sometimes we're repeating because we have to get it right. We may not have, everything you do is a fork in the road. It changes different things. And those hard times that we make those really hard decisions, that's when we, like they say, Akashic Records, we kind of change those situations because we have to make those hard decisions. And like I said, sometimes people fall off, even though they're a twin flame, sometimes they're just, like I said, not vibrating at the same, and we have to keep going. And sometimes those forks in the road mean sometimes they get left behind. It's really hard though, sometimes to leave them behind.
It is. But to know that these people are connected with us and are really in for our highest good, it also helps us relieve stuff that we've been carrying around from past lives. I know I've carried along alcoholism in this life. I killed it finally, I came in with a family with alcoholism, and it just pushed me to the edge to quit. So I was like, okay, enough's enough. Finally, Yep. So the people that come in, the people that are given in our lives are here for us to, to grow.
Yep. I always tell people to be the change. Like because when you're in a reading, sometimes they'll be like, well, my dad did this and his dad did this and his dad did this and his dad did this. And I'm like, but you can change it here.
Right.
Be the change for your kids. And that is how it changes. And that's how we heal from the past. We can do it now.
Yep. That's the thing too, because I do get that a lot in readings, and I wonder if you do, where it is passed down from generation to generation, but they're doing nothing about it. They but then on the other hand, it's also gifts. I also find gifts coming down from generation to generations, and people don't know where the gifts come from. So
yes. And I see that. It's really cool and the only way I can explain, I see it like a Wi-Fi line, you know, how like you have and I can see if it's all on like the mother's on one side, the father's line is on the other, and it's like lit up, like and I'll be like, okay, it's come down through a whole different pass. You know, it's like all the females on one side, you can see it's female and all the way up. So, you know, I'm usually able to say where it comes from, but I did have somebody else they're a mix. So it was like a father on one side that got it from his grandfather, but then on the mom's side, it came from the other. I was like, wow, you're really lit up. But that's how it came through. I'm like, you're like a mix.
Right. And what was kind of funny was like, I had one where the lady's dad didn't have it, but his mom did. And it came from his mom's side on his dad's side. And then it was on the mom's side from the mom's side. So it was like, whew. But she goes, yep, I knew they all were, you know, so it was like validation. So yeah. And it's weird. It comes from all over, but you know, you could see the connections.
Yep. And a lot of people are like, but my grandma didn't tell me, or my mom didn't say that. And sometimes you're like, but you've seen these little things. She always seemed to know what you were up to, or she always knew where you were. Or there was all those little things. And I always like, back when our grandparents or our great grandparents, they didn't talk about it because, you know, a lot of people poo-pooed it. You know, I'm so glad that now in the world it's more open. You know, thank you for all those, you know, past ancestors that, you know, chugged through all this, and now we can be open about what we do.
Yeah, I mean, and I always say, you know, now do you remember your grandma like bringing soup? Because I had one grandma that I told her this, but that was her way to tell people that they were sick. You know, and sure enough, she was predicting sickness. But the only way she could do it was through say, God gave me this. God told me you're going to be sick, so here, have some soup. So I thought that was a cool way to do it. But a lot of spirits like that get it from that realm, you know, where they couldn't talk about it because then they were, you know, witches and all that type of stuff, which is not bad. But, you know, the previous societies all thought it was. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you think about it, like, you know, I want to see Salem so much just to see how, you know, neat it is and stuff, and just feel the energy there. But they were our like tongue tied today. They were our modern day biologists, our doctors, you know, our pharmacists. They were all these wonderful people that were looked down and frowned upon because, well, they were doing something different. Right.
Yeah, that's tough. But they couldn't do it. I mean, they couldn't say it. I mean, even certain religions weren't allowed to practice, you know. So the more we're open and the more we allow people to be the wonderful souls we are and just love them for that. And that's where we were talking about before, where that's what I've seen this universe has to do, is we have to come together as one.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it's, you know, like I've had a lot of people say like, oh, you're a medium. So does it happen? Like, you know, you're walking down the street and you can, you know, just stop and tell somebody things. I'm like, you can't do that. You know, like I don't just stop and tell somebody, oh yeah, your grandma's here and this is what she wants you to know. Not unless you you have to, you know. But today, with Andy, there was a man that I told Andy, we're out of here. I said, this is what's wrong. This is what's going on. And he's going to win $1,500 tonight. I'm like, and that's the way it is, but I'm not saying nothing.
I would have kissed him for half of it.
No, you know what? I handed him my ticket. I only had a little bit left on it, and I handed him my ticket and I said, go enjoy the night.
Oh, that's good.
It wasn't much, but it was just, you know, a little bit of something. So.
Oh, that's so nice.
I hope he wins. So,
especially when it's $1,500.
Hey, $1,500. I, you know, it is what it is. He'll enjoy his night, or he'll go out to dinner and have a good dinner, whatever it is, you know. So, but so yeah.
What do you see in your readings now is like is the number one or the toughest thing that you're getting, and it could be different too. Toughest and number one.
Like my toughest thing sometimes is I get a lot of the harder. I guess I read a little bit different. I read more soothing, I guess I want to say, a little bit more slow. And I get some of the hard ones, some of the suicides, the overdoses, some of the drunken driving where people are questioning what happened that night, or, how did this go down, or why did this happen? And those are really hard because, looking at a family member who's missing their loved one and don't understand why.
Right.
So those are the hard ones. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to be that calming spirit and help them through that. You always feel bad when you make them cry, but then I always explain crying is healing.
Oh, yes.
So I think those are my hard ones. Lately, I've been getting, it's been a mix. It's really been a mix. A lot of people asking about COVID. This COVID has really rocked our world. I even had a lady asking me if she was going to get COVID, and I'm like, honey, free will plays in there. Are you going to stay home, or are you going to go get gas in your car? And that was the truth. I mean,
or just wear your mask.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've said that's where, but it's the truth. Is she going to forget to put the sanitizer on her hand and she touched the same thing that somebody else touched? I mean, it's the truth. Free will plays in our life, quite well too.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is I've been getting a lot of like, why me? And I've had to explain that sometimes we're attached to other people's free will, which turns into a lesson.
All right, explain that a little bit.
So let's see, how should I put this? Free will, everybody has their choice we'll just use it as a love relationship. We'll use it as a cheating love relationship. Well, if it was that person's free will to cheat or not, instead of picking up with the person, they decide to cheat. So now that person is heart torn, because this person cheated on me and this is what happened. So they were attached to the other person's free will.
No,
that's,
it's consequences of the other person's, but the thing is, you can't take it upon yourself though. That's the hard part.
Right. And that's what I was getting a lot of people why almost, I don't want to say the victim, because you can understand why they're looking for that answer. And, because I mean that hurts, but at the same time, I just got to explain that, unfortunately you're attached to someone else's free will.
Right. Right. So your cousin Emily says hi.
Hi, Em.
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
So, and I know we weren't going to get into a lot of readings, but Jess wants to know if you could pick up anything on her daughter, Jess Monte.
On her daughter?
Yeah.
Well, her daughter does have gifts. So, I think she's having a hard time dealing with them, and she's not being exactly open with Jess about what she's feeling. She's an empath, and she's having a hard time with dealing with the actual energy and picking up everybody else's energy. And
that's super tough right now.
It is.
We've been talking about that all night, just the election, COVID, everything. There's just a ton, especially the empaths are taking right now. And it's really tough if you don't know how to control it and be of your own energy.
Exactly. And then if you don't know how to actually, I put up my bubble so that I don't pick up everybody's energy and take it with me. And if you don't learn to actually, after a reading, dump the other person's energy, and I say dump, not meaning it in a negative way, but get rid of the other person's energy that you just read for, because we do readings one after another, and that's, your energy is mingling. So you have to release it.
And you can't take the readings on. You can't take the readings. A lot of people do that too. That's the toughest thing. Otherwise, we go crazy if we remember everyone's readings from all day.
Well, and I do get this guy, and I should just say, I know you do, but people come up and they're like, hey, do you remember you told me this, that, and I'm like, if I was reading, that's not my words. That's actually Spirit's words or Spirit's message. So I don't remember all of them, honestly.
Right.
Right.
I don't either. So.
I would try to remember faces and stuff, but actually I'm really bad with names.
Yep. So let's see. Denise says, my sister passed away, and my mother and other sister feel her around and see her, but I never do. Is it because they're spiritual?
It's not that they're spiritual. They have gifts if they're seeing her. And it's not that, how should I put this? So it's not that you're not gifted. Just open up to it more. Maybe you're rationalizing what she's trying to do to get through to you. If you think, like we always say, the very first thought that comes through your head, like you heard a song and you're like, oh, that reminds me of my mom. Bam. That's your mom. If it reminds you of your mom, it's the first thing, that's your mom. If you go, oh no, maybe it's my sister, your now second guess is you putting you into it, ego, you putting you into it. So try and open up more. And maybe once you just try to accept that and stop like rationalizing what those feelings are, maybe you'll see her more and you'll get more of her messages coming through.
Yep. Here, I agree with you. I think it's you have to get, I just feel like she's too logical.
Yes.
I feel, and I keep seeing Spock. So it's just too logical, where just release and let that energy, exactly what Sandy was saying, because I believe that too. But it's always that first message that comes to you in spirit.
And I think if we acknowledge them, so yes, Mom, I love you too. I'm thinking of you too. The more we acknowledge them, the more they know they're getting through. So then they can try again. And the way I explain that is like everybody's seen the movie Ghost. He's trying to move that nickel and he's trying to move that nickel and it's not working. It's not working. They have to learn to use it too on the other side.
Correct.
So just as much as we are.
Yep. And it's hard. It's not easy to jump. Even though I had a reading this weekend that was really weird for me. This is my second one I've ever had, but a lady came to my gallery this weekend for a reading, and she was there, and I went to her like second, and I said, I have this man to the side of your dad. I said, I think he's your uncle. And she started just breaking down, bawling. And I said, he died like relatively soon, like relatively recent. She goes, yeah, this morning.
Oh, wow. See, and that's the things, I just say thank you to Spirit. I had a lady come into one of my galleries too. And basically I knew that she had a family member on hospice. And I could, I knew it was coming, and she was basically there for me to tell her when, and we don't do that. That's not our job. That's God's job to choose when it's your time. Yep. Though I knew it was coming soon, and I just told her, please enjoy the time you have. If he wants to have ice cream, go have ice cream. Enjoy this time. And it was like 3 months later, she came back and he had passed.
Yeah, that's our biggest thing. We worry too much about when the date is instead of worrying about having the fun and enjoying the company and enjoying the people that you're with.
Yep. Take that time and enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move the topic a little bit. Okay. Candy puts in here, do you guys believe that everyone has abilities, but they have to be developed? Or do you believe it's truly a gift for a chosen few? I'm going to start this one, if you don't mind. I always say the old vaudevillian joke. How do you do readings? Like the old joke is, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. That's what they always say. They always directions. Old vaudeville joke from the 20s, 100 years ago. But it's still today. I 100% believe everybody that's watching this right now, everybody that's going to be watching this in the future here, will all have gifts. I believe everybody has it to some extent. Not, just like I always say, everybody plays baseball to some extent. Everybody's played kickball or stickball or something like that, run around bases, and everybody's done it. Some people play, in the schoolyard. Some people play in the bar league. Some people play in college. Some people play in the pros. Some people play in good teams in the pros. And some people get in the Hall of Fame. But I just believe that every one of us has those abilities. And it's all about our development. And it's all about us accepting and allowing Spirit to work with us. I think that's the biggest thing.
I'm 100% in agreement. I tell people all the time, I believe we all can do this. It's just developing it, working with it. And I know I've told you like 1,000 times, and I'll tell anybody, because I don't know how to tell you to develop it, because I've always done it. So I don't know. But when I have someone who wants to know how to develop it, I send them your way. I have a couple people, I'm like, talk to Scotty, talk to this one, because it's always been there.
Right.
So I don't know how to tell someone to develop it, that I don't, but I can tell them how I meditate. I can explain all that. I can tell them what I hear, what I smell, what I taste, what I see. But you're the teacher for that. Like, I can teach you other things. I can teach you all kinds of stuff, but that's your specialty.
That is. And I'm very honored that they chose me to be the teacher. And, and I always want my students to be better than me. I want, because that just shows that I'm a good teacher there, because like I said, I don't think, and yes, there's different talents too. So there's the different abilities that we are born with, but I think that at least everyone, I don't think everyone was going to be able to talk to dead people, but I believe everybody will have some type of psychic ability that they can use and that they can develop, and that'll be strong, and I think the biggest one is empathic. There's just so many people that have that. And the old people used to call it flight or fight, where you're going to run or you fight. And to me, that's being empathic. What's happening. Yeah,
I agree 100%. Well, and too, like, sometimes people don't realize what they do have. The very first show I did for Carolyn, and it was in Rylander, Wisconsin. And I met this wonderful lady named Denise Davis. Mm-hmm. And Denise came and she sat down with me, and I was throwing cards, not throwing cards, but I was reading cards. And I've always read cards. And I was reading cards, and I always knew, like, I never read my book for what my cards meant. I've always read the spirit, but I didn't really know the proper terminology for it. And she sat down, because she's a wonderful self. Oh, I'm sorry.
Touch your screen.
No, I got a call, and I literally have it on like do not disturb, and a call came through. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
iPhone's not putting it on disturb, but so she sat down and she goes, you don't need these cards, because she's a wonderful medium herself. And she's my mentor. Like, when if I call you for a question, same thing, we all have them people we call. Yeah. And she's like, you don't need these cards. Why are you using cards? I'm like, I've always used cards, but I always read to what I hear in my head. And she goes, because you don't need them. They're a tool. And if it wasn't for her, I'd still be doing it, that way.
Right.
So I'm so thankful for that too.
And I always say, tarot and divination tools and stuff are good, because when I first started reading, I used dowsing rods, because I would give a yes or no to my questions to the person. And mm-hmm. It wasn't for the people that I was reading. It was for me. Yeah. Because I needed the validation yet. So that's the tough part is a lot of people still need validation. If you do, then use the tools to help, because it'll make you more solid in your thing. But in time, you won't need those tools at all. And I know we had something here. So Tracy says, when you decide to make it known or come out more and more with your gifts. When you decide to make it known or come out more and more with your gifts. Oh, when did you decide? If I could read tonight, that'd be great.
You're good.
I need to put my old man's glasses on.
No, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes I'm like, did it make no sense? What did I write here? But when did I or you, Scotty? She asked.
You guys, so that's both of us.
Okay. So I decided in 2017, it's really odd. My mom, like I told you, because when I was younger, she kind of was like, stop, don't do this stuff. So I decided, I don't know, I just heard in my head, it's time. I heard spirit say it's time. So I took my mom to an angel card reading with Carolyn. And at the end, I'm like, Carolyn, is it okay if I say a few things too? And she goes, you do this? And I was like, yes. And that's how my mom found out. So that was 2017. Wow. So I came out in 2017 professionally, and did a show for her, and then went on and just kept going.
Yeah.
So that's when I really came out.
when I really came out was, I think it was like 2009, 9ish, when I had my own radio show, and we had the psychic medium from England on, Derek Akora, and Derek was on the show Most Haunted, and he was on our show, and I was surprised. He said yes, he'd do an interview with us, so it was really cool. And I was like, I saw him on TV, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm talking to him. It was really neat. And so we're on the air that day, and I did a little FUBU, or I go, ooh, sorry, and I said, and I lied, and he knows I lied, but I said, every psychic that comes on the show has to give the host a reading. That way I could get a free reading on the air. But he was the one that night that told me that I'd be a medium. I'd be doing everything that I'm doing today, everything, TV, film, movies, shows like this, coaching, training, galleries. He just went down the line. He said, you and your spirit guide, Steve, will be stronger than me and Sam. And so I was very humbled that day. But that was the first day I called myself a medium, because I didn't even know what a medium was. I always thought it was a guy that went around with a turban in his head, or with the belly dance scarves and all the chains, doing the readings on the crystal ball, and I was like, that's
and the crystal ball.
There you go. Boy, Sandy, you got a big ball.
Sandy's got big balls. No, sorry, we put the disclaimer out there.
If we don't do it, then everybody thinks something's wrong with us tonight.
I know. That's not Sandy and Scotty. What are they doing?
They're too quiet. They haven't sworn once.
Little ones.
Yeah. Those are turquoise. I like turquoise balls.
Yeah. But no, I agree with you. Like, and I didn't know, like, I didn't know what to call it. Like, I knew it was spirit, but I didn't know to say I was a medium either. And sometimes I will, like, and you guys will hear me on Psychics Unite say, sometimes I feel like a kindergartner doing college work, because I don't have all of the credentials that everybody else has. Well, I haven't gone to one, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, but that's not the work I do.
It's just bigger. So Susan Martin says, oh my God, Sandy, that's when we met at Caroline's, when you came out to your mom.
Yes. Exactly. She was there.
So I have, let's see, a couple of these. Where did all this stuff go? It's like everybody's talking so much, so it's kind of funny. So Candy says, if spirits are not omnipresent, how can they be with their loved ones all of the time? My mom and I have had experiences that we thought were signs from my dad at the same time. How is that possible?
So how is that possible? To a point, they are omnipresent, because so it's called like an imprint. Okay. So I know Scotty, I've read Scotty to a point, and we're friends. We've made that imprint, an energy imprint. Mm-hmm. So your mom has that with him too, and you have that with him too. So I believe they can do that and be at both, because of the fact that they already have that connection, and I mean, and God's energy, or, the creator's energy, it's omnipresent. I mean, if they're here if I have their energy here, Scotty, you have it there with you too, because it's imprinted. See, now I'm going to go kind of deep into my discussion on this. So everybody fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. But I believe that it happens. Okay. One reason I believe that we're all one. So I believe our connections are all one. So if you look at us, like if you just see us as the fingers, right? Everybody looks like they're doing their own thing, right? But when you remove the veil, you see that we're really all connected. And this is what I call it. God is, and this is the universe. This is all of us in one. That's why we can talk to each other. That's how we can read to each other. And I also don't believe time happens the way we believe time happens. So if your dad's giving you both the same messages, it's probably a second off from each other. But, for us, we feel it because we live on a clock, when the clocks aren't really in existence. Our time everything's happening at the same time. Every dimension's happening at the same time. Every
past, present, future is happening at the same time. Everything all happens. And that's what we see between. And that's why spirits are there, because we can see them gone, so it's all happening at once. So sorry to get really deep, but I think we'll get into it more with string theory when that's proven, that topic, because I think string theory is going to prove the existence of the soul, because there's just too much out there. So I don't know if it's necessarily omnipresent, because you can't be everywhere. You can be next to everywhere, because no two atoms can be in the same place. They can be right next to each other, or butted up, or joined together, but they can't be on top of each other. So looking at science, from that standpoint. So the more, so I think that it can happen because it's happening at a fraction of a second at the same time. So the spirit can be in two places quicker than we can be.
I agree with that, but I also do know, like, sometimes when you're in a reading and they're asking, like, why isn't my mom coming through? And then you ask spirit, why isn't, like, the mom coming through? Sometimes I've gotten that they have the mom has a sick brother that's still here with us. And sometimes where, like, you get that's where they're at. So I believe that, but I also think it's got to do with, this is energy rather than like an actual, an atom, you know what I mean? So I think that it too is that, I think you're right. I totally agree with that. I think too, it's because we've imprinted, and we can do that because we're already attached. We're linked. Like you said, the string theory, we're linked.
Yeah. I mean, and you kind of look at it too, like the easiest way to look at it is for everybody with the internet. Either you can go to a web page, that's one individual soul, or you could go out there for the whole thing, that's, and just get everything, because everything's out there all at the same time. So can you go to one page, or do you, are you narrowing down the focus, or are you just out there? And that's how we connect. We can either connect to one page, or we can connect to the universal, the universe, by connecting to the cloud. Get it?
Yep. I always say there's like an antenna up there that just kind of zzz. Yeah.
I always in the old days, I called it a barber pole, but most people nowadays don't know what a barber pole is.
Yeah.
Because they don't even have those out anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, and people are like, well, how can you be listening and talking to me at the same time? And I always explain to it, like it's like your head's split in half. I mean, I see back here almost like it's like a TV screen, and I can hear, but this part is talking to them. That's kind of how I explain it to them.
Right. Yeah, we're getting tons of input from everything. That's what it is. And that's what you have to control. And that's one of the first things I teach people is how to control that, because the spirit's coming at us from all these directions.
Yep. Well, I did a gallery in Stevens Point, and I'm at this one person, and I move over, and I know I'm standing in front of this one, and I'm telling her this, but it actually ended up going for the person that was next to her. It wasn't honed in. It was like, I was like, wow, this is like loud in here. I mean, life is loud in my head because I hear a lot, but at the same time, normally it's like right there, very general. And it was like, wow, okay, hold on. I can usually pinpoint, at a gallery, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. And I think at that time it was like, okay, it was a lesson for me. I think I talked to you about it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Because it was something different that had never happened before.
Yeah. April says in the chat room for both of us, how did your families react once you came out?
My mom was very accepting. When we left, we got in the car and she was like, Sadie, you didn't tell me that. She goes, did grandma know? And I'm like, yes, grandma knew. I mean, because we didn't understand, and grandma always called it my nightmares. I slept with my grandmother until I was 13 because it was very scary because nobody knew how to explain it. So yeah, they were accepting. My husband's known for a long time. And probably about 9 years ago, was it 9 years ago, 10 years ago? He really got a lesson in it. And that's when he really accepted who and what I do. Yeah. My kids are very accepting. They tell their friends, they're not shy.
Yeah, it was awful for me when I was a kid and all my neighbors and that type of stuff. My dad never really understood me, ever. But now that he's standing right there, he's definitely he definitely understands. He goes, I really wish I knew anything about this, but I had no clue, and he didn't. And so, I mean, I can't hold him for that. And my mom has been really accepting, and I thought a lot of people in my family, like aunts and stuff, they actually called me when my aunt called me when her mom died. And I never really met her mom, but only once. And so they were at the funeral with my cousins, and they're, asking about their other grandma. And I was like, holy cow, and so I gave them a reading from their grandma at the funeral. So that was really cool. And then one of my cousins has a daughter that has it that's been hiding from me for a while because she doesn't know if she wants to come out yet. But overall, I mean, it's been cool. I mean, if I didn't have my wife and my partner Terry with me, this would not be feasible at all. Even doing mediumship full time, I wouldn't be able to do it without her and her support. And so I'm thoroughly 100% thankful that I have her in my life.
I agree. Kenny's like my rock. He's actually my grounder. I still do dream work. I know I've walked a friend over the Rainbow Bridge. So, and if it wasn't for him being there, sometimes I have to make sure that I'm here. Like I have to, because I don't feel like I'm here. So having him there, I'm very thankful. And he's helped me so much, like, at shows and stuff, because we do still sell crystals and stuff at the shows. And
right.
He's definitely behind me. I don't hear like everything he says to people. And so many people have told me that that's your biggest fan.
Yeah. What's kind of funny though is every kid that made fun of me has come back to me, or most of them have come back into class reunions and now want to talk about their ghost experiences.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like the center of attention. I was like, one guy asked me, he goes, "Hey, can I tell you about my ghost adventure?" I go, "Nope," and I walked away. He goes, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Because you used to make fun of me when I was young." He goes, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "I apologize." I said, "Okay, I'm glad you apologized, but still no."
Yeah.
I said, "Of course, go ahead." I was just teasing, but I had to get it out because it was so bad when I was a kid, and now they understand. But that just teaches you love. That just teaches you, Yeah,
it does. I mean, like I've been heavy all my life, and I'm still heavy, and I got picked on really hard, and not just for what I did, because I was a Catholic school, so you had to behave. Although I could be in church, and I don't know if any of my friends remember this, but I would sit in church, and I could actually, being the empath, I would cry. Like I get very emotional, and because I went to Catholic school all my life, so like I'm sure they probably thought I was weird, but they did. They made fun of me because I was heavy, and I was the cow, or made different things. But I don't see many of them, and the people that I do have that are still my friends are, I have people from second grade, first grade that are on my Facebook page that are friends, and I'm just thankful that they're still there. You can make fun of me, at least you left somebody else alone, I guess. I don't know, I've always been the tough girl. I'd fight my way, or I got in trouble, because I'd fight, or it's just me.
Yeah, I know everybody's still. This is probably the busiest comment section I've ever had. So nice it's hard to keep up with the questions. So if you've lost a question and I've not answered, or we've not answered it correctly, please ask it again. So we'd be more than happy to answer this. And you don't mind going a little long, do you? Because we're already at the end of the show. So we'll just keep talking. We're having a good time. So
heck yeah.
An hour goes by fast.
Yes.
That's why I always tell shadow hunters not to book a show right after me, because like I said, I keep talking.
Yeah, exactly. And we do. And like when we get together, I'm like, I never want you to go home. I'm like, no, don't leave. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I'm happy being who I am. I'm thankful, and I don't turn away a person who needs help. I don't turn away a person who has a question. I do readings, live, and I do them for donations. So when if I make any kind of funds, people do donating. Last year I donated all the funds to the Giving Tree for our county. Went and bought a bunch of toys for kids, and and it's a gift, and you have to say thank you also.
You do.
I believe in giving back a lot. Oh, you are the same way. if Spirit says it's time for a free reading, that's what it is.
It is. And, that's the one thing that I do all the time when Terry and I do shows like at the big psychic fairs and stuff across the country. If kids and their families come in for readings, I automatically do a reading for the kid. And those are free. I drop whoever else is in line, they get bumped right in. They get next in line and away they go. Because it's just the way it is, because there's no way I want anyone to ever go through what I went. And that's why I wanted a Psychics Unite group everywhere. And that's why everybody watching tonight is invited to Psychics Unite, because it's a place to find your family, your home. Even if you have little questions about your abilities or what's in your house, there's somebody in our groups that are going to be able to answer these.
Yep. And if we can't, we'll find someone who can, because we have, how many people can we reach out to that can help? Actually, a friend of mine sent some proof of, something going on in her home, and I sent it to Sharon. So I told her when she needs something, if she wants it investigated, I know it's in the Madison area, but I know Sharon would do a good job. So, that's what she does. I mean, I have not done ghost hunting, just dabbled a little bit, and I love it, but that's just not what I have done yet.
Right. Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah.
We'll get you there. Ghost hunting's next for you.
It's amazing though. It's really cool.
It is, but it's just one more phase. And I've been trying to work with shadow hunters here to get them to all understand their gifts and make us a better team. It doesn't mean we just go in, with the mediumship, because you have to do both. You can't just do one. It's got to be of both. You got to have the spiritual and the gear. You have to do that type of stuff.
I agree. And you also have to know how to protect yourself, because you are going into, who knows, good energy, bad energy. It is there, both is there. And it's a lot of people, like lately people have been talking about like shadow work and stuff, and we do, with what we do see both sides.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing. And I said I wouldn't come up when I'm doing it. My mom sees shadow figures now. And she goes, "Is that what you see all the time?" I go, "Yes." Thank you.
See, and that's amazing. And my mom has now, like, I don't know why I know this, and I'm like, "Mom, you do know why you know this," and it's cool that they start to realize the little things that they didn't know before, and I mean, we've all told her, everybody has it. You just have to open up and accept.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, accept. So if you're looking at it from a non-religious type of standpoint, it's what I call faith. You have to have that faith that Spirit's here looking out for us, that we are a part of something larger, that our souls live on. We're everlasting beings. We're not here just for a moment. We're here for many moments, but we need to make the best of each moment and live the best we can, and not be fighting and not be saying, "I'm better, you're better, my country's better, your country, my country's better, my God's better, than yours." Yeah. And all this stuff like that. Why can't you just love?
I agree. I wish. And I'm excited for people to start to do that more. I don't want to say I wish. I do hope for it, but I'm excited for people to start doing that more. It's out there. It's out there. And, I put something on Facebook today, and I said something to my mom about, if everybody would do one good deed, it could really change the world. One good deed here and there, pay it forward, whatever it is.
Yep.
You're just changing it for the better. People don't realize how just one easy deed might change somebody's life.
It's going to help everybody. It's going to help you. And that's what I said when I first started readings. I said, if I helped one person in my career, then I did well, because I helped one person.
Yep.
Help way more than that. And I understand it. And I thank every day for all the people I help. It was really kind of cool today. I had a lady who came to me and said, "Hey, I give you blessings for all the work you do helping all the people. Now let's get into my stuff." I said, "Okay, thank you." That was really nice to hear, because we don't hear it that often,
Yeah. I mean, it's like, even on my crystal show, some people are like, they come on just to relax. that actually just being on the show just gets them calm. It relaxes them. And here's me, I'm showing a crystal, I'm fumbling or something's in the way. I don't look at it that way. I don't realize that's what it does for people, but I'm thankful that I can do that and just be there.
Yeah. So we answered a question for Denise today, and she says, thank you for answering my question. But while you were answering, it made my lampshade started rocking, and it freaked me out because I'm the only one here. Well, yeah, you're not the only one here. You got a lot of spirits with you, but you're still protected. So that's very great. So Candy says, is the feeling of butterflies in your stomach simply excitement? Now that I'm older, I often think that the feeling is spirit trying to contact me. Any thoughts?
So I do the chill bumps. I believe in the chill bumps or the chills. But everybody's a little different. So, your butterflies in your stomach is your gut feeling.
And I don't know. And I always say the gut is spirit.
Yeah.
I believe that's another place just we connect. We connect with our whole soul from here. And so it's not just in the brain. It's got to be your whole body. It's got to be your whole soul. So to me, butterflies could be both, because it's a part of excitement because you're feeling how your body's engaging. But if you're feeling that engagement or you're not connecting at all, you need to feel something. So they're going to try anything they can do. A lot of times people get ringing in their ears. That's a way to do it. I know I was talking to somebody and my ears were ringing. I was like, oh, somebody's talking about me, so I know it's coming, or I know something's coming to me. So yeah, Sandy, But yeah, and you had ringing in your ears, but that was the cops.
Yeah. He just the lights. He was lights in my eyes. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. I go, Andy, he got me. I don't know. Yeah, I get ringing in my ears too. And sometimes I'll get ringing in my ears when, like if somebody, like if it was a drunk, if it was like an accident and they were drinking or they were high, like that's how I know it's marijuana, because right. I get a ringing in my ears. It's like that high feeling. So that's like my sign. Like everybody has their own little signs. Yeah,
they play differently. Yeah. I always get Desperate Housewives visions when I know there's turmoil in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly. That feeling, like that overwhelming feeling, like, oh, I know what this is. Okay. And two, a lot of people second guess themselves. You get a lot of people who second guess themselves.
Yeah. Nina says she always gets ringing, but she can never get anything more. It's kind of like what we're talking about. We just have to raise our energies, because I always say, like I always call myself a radio. I'm just a radio for spirit. I'm here to play the music or play the voices, play the messages that come from the other side. But remember that there's two bands. There's AM and FM. So we have to be a radio that does both bands, because spiritual energy is of higher energy. There's some lower energies out there too, but that's mostly us. And that's why I call them different. That's why I call spirits and ghosts two different things. A spirit is a soul that's crossed all the way over and is of the higher energies, where a ghost is the ghosts that are stuck here on earth, and those are of the lower energies like us. So if you're hearing the lower vibrational energy, it's probably a ghost, and they don't always have your best interest at heart, because they still have those earth emotions, and because a lot of them are here because of hate, anger, revenge, that type of stuff that nobody wants,
Right.
But
yep, residual.
Yeah, that's the ghost. But then they always go, how do you know the difference between ghost and spirit? I said, very easy, because spirit is love, and spirit is forgiven. So when I tell you your soul, your grandpa died and he's a spirit now, know that he's of love. He is loved. He is forgiven. Everything is gone. And I do believe all of us get forgiven, because I don't believe in hell. Right. I don't believe there's such a place.
Right.
And have you seen that in your readings? Because I've never seen hell in your readings. I've never.
No, I've never gotten hell in my readings. I've always gotten like, if there was things that needed to be made amends, like they're working and they're making amends, but I've never seen hell in my readings. No. No, I have not.
And our spirit guides don't even talk about it. They always talk about, but the problem is with hell is we've made it ourselves. We've chosen, we know that what we did wasn't right. So now we're going to punish ourselves, and live in that emotions instead of forgiving ourselves and growing, and become love the next time.
Yep. And I've heard a lot of different people, like some people think that this is hell. Some people think that this is like a purgatory. I mean, I've heard so many different stories. I just think this is, I know there's a heaven. I know there's a better place. And
yep.
I know it's something positive to look forward to.
Yep.
But my Catholic upbringing will say there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's a purgatory, there's this, that's
purgatory. I hate that thing.
I know. I just feel, I don't know.
Because then you're saying that somebody has to wait there to be approved.
Yes, exactly. And I don't believe that. And I don't believe that, God is, everything is it's forgiven. Yeah. So I do believe we go and, we go through the Akashic records and stuff. And I think we do get asked, why did you take this step instead of this step? So, but I don't think that anybody gets
that's called life review. We have to go through life review before we get full access back into heaven. That's what it is.
Yes.
And when we do that, we have to not only atone for the stuff we did, but we have to atone for how much down the line that one thing caused. It could be like, you could look at it, and because I said time's happening at the same time. So you look at it and you could see that the fact that you did this caused this to your great grandchild, because now they feel just like that. It's because you put that stream into that consciousness of your family, even though they might not have talked about it, but that same idea, that same feeling is all the way down here. So you have to know that your stuff that you do doesn't just stop with you and the person they went to. Now, who else did it affect?
Exactly. And it does. It affects.
Everybody's hitting us up tonight in the room, huh?
I have to let my son know to let the dog out. My dog is...
Let the dog out. Your son.
Let the dog out. Who let the dog out? Yeah. I told him to watch the dog. So, but no, I agree with you. I mean, I do believe in making amends, atonement, same thing. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I do have a fan on, because I could never do the show. So they're not the ghosts moving the stuff behind me. So I do have a fan.
You have a fan. Oh, okay.
I have a fan on all the time. See, now let's talk about that too. And I got another question. So Laura says in here, what does the buzzing mean? And I think she's talking about ringing and buzzing. I think it's the same thing. It's just the way you perceive it. So I have the Ring doorbell. You have the standard doorbell. You know what I mean? So it just, it's all the same. It's a way that spirit is getting them to talk to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I know when someone's there. I get that feeling of someone standing right beside me or right with me. Do you get that too? Can you feel them?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I feel when I look at you, so if I'm sitting here, if I look at you and I'm reading you, I will always see the female side on this side, which is your left side.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I always see that. And male's always on this side, which is your right side.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say my dad's standing there, because it's my right side.
Yes.
But see, that Steve has aligned them that way when they come through to me. So that way I don't have to spend an hour going, is this the grandma on this side? Is the grandma on this side? It's female grandma, male grandma. So dad's grandma or dad's
then that's like my Wi-Fi line. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it helps because you can say exactly who it is.
Oh, okay. Laura says she hears a humming buzz. Well, that just means your vibration is not correct to the spirit. That just means you have to raise. That's all it is. That's like on the old tuner on TV. When you turned it in, you got, or even radio, you have to tune it in because it's not quite there. That's the same thing. So it's just not there. It means that you have it. It means you have that connection. It just means that you got to tune it in and use some things on it.
Yep. And that's how I always explain it. Just literally, it's like, just imagine a dial that you're just fine tuning that dial. Like in the 80s, we had to turn to get it to just not have the crackling. You got to tune it in.
Yeah. Hey, can you look at your phone? I guess Splatter sent you a question.
Oh.
So we can go.
Sure.
Yeah. So Sandy's going to look at that. All right. So there another question about heaven and hell, and it came in from the room. Now, see, I don't believe that souls are given eternal hell, because that would stop free will, and that would also stop reincarnation.
Okay.
That's a couple of the reasons why I don't believe that they're there. I also believe everybody is given the chance to atone for their sins or go through life. And I'm going to use probably the most evil guy on the face of the earth. And this is going to get a lot of noise, and you can, but I do believe that Hitler can be forgiven too. Because I don't believe any soul is committed to a hell.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's a hard one for a lot of people to take in. Okay, she'll message me later. That's
okay. All right, Paula. I see. Paula.
Yep, Paula. That's a hard one to look at, because they ask a lot, even for people who, like killers, murderers. How can they get into heaven? I believe they have to answer for everything they did.
Of course.
Once they answer for that, they have to make amends.
They do.
And that's the work that they have to do now on the other side. You can't, okay, so today we put them in prison. Well, when they pass, they still have more to work on, because, hey, you did wrong. You knew right and wrong.
They got good deeds to do. Maybe they're saving people from dying now.
Yes.
But also you got to look at what they've brought into the world and what they've given the world from it, and how we started to get closer as a world because of him. You know what I mean? Right. We all knew what he did to the Jews, and so all the nations started coming together. So we got to look at those type of things. Even though we think it is divisive, we have to really look at the overall and overarching things, what they do for the world. And yes, because I don't necessarily believe evil. Evil has to be looked at with a grain of salt, because if you and Kenny were totally starving and you guys had no money, you can barely keep your lights on in your house or anything, and you had no money for food, and if you went down to the grocery store and stole a loaf of bread and some bologna, by everyone's saying that's evil because you stole.
But at the same time, you tried to feed your family. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying there.
It's a perception. It's our perception of what the other person is doing, and we put blame on it. And as a society, we got to kind of do that, so we don't have the anarchy like we've seen.
Yes.
So we have to put restrictions on it. But that's society putting restrictions on for the thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it, because if you're starving and you need food, go for it. You know what I mean? I don't, so we have to look at it that way. So too often people go, oh, that person did this to me. But, we don't know it, and then the other thing I get a lot is why did he die young? Well, how do we know that this life wasn't for him to die young? So that taught him something in life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm not giving people excuses for committing crimes and that stuff. That's not what I'm doing. But you have to look at it deeper than what we do. We put artificial thoughts on things and say, oh, that's bad. But what really is bad?
Right. Well, and we look at a lot of things differently. And I think now I can understand things different now than I could then. Like I've lost 5 babies before I got my oldest. And back then I lived in a whole thing of, I'd see, people who are on crack having babies, and these kids are not well taken care of. And I was in a whole, why can't I have a baby when all these other people can have babies and I can't? What am I doing wrong? And it just really, honestly, now today, I could say it wasn't the right time. But back then I couldn't do that. I mean, back then I was in a total different mindset, And it was the worst thing in the world. I'm looking at different things. You have to look at, like you said, in a different light to look at it for, and if you would have told me then things happen for a reason, I would have been like, what kind of answer is that? What's the reason? Like you said, they died young. What was the reason I lost 5 babies?
Right.
But now I wasn't ready at that time. And even though I was 24, I don't think I was ready.
Yeah. So here's a question. Are all new souls created still, or are souls already created?
So the question sounds like when babies are
created. Are new souls created or are all souls created? No, new souls are created.
Mm-hmm. But we do have souls too, but new are created.
Yeah, because there are way more souls. And now we also have to look at souls from other planets, other experiences, because the universe is too large to just think that we're the only souls around. So there are more souls coming in all the time, and there's souls that are determining not to come back. You don't have to come back. You have free will to stay on the other side and be a spirit, like my spirit guide, Steve. He chose not to come back. He stayed there for me to protect me in this life. And we were husband and wife in a previous, and he still loves me that much that he's here to protect me. And I can't thank him enough either. And I have Mother Ayahuasca with me and my spirit animal, Grizz, and the grizzly bear. And I can't thank those guys for choosing me and giving me the power to live the life I have in the readings. But yeah, there are still souls created, and you can tell them because they're the ones that are fighting the oneness. They're the ones that are fighting becoming one and becoming the society of love. They're the ones that call readings bull and don't understand. And that's those souls.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. And I think that too, when we look at those, like the older souls, like you said, like Steve, I do believe that they get to eventually almost like retire too. They become those guides because they've learned what they've needed to. They've walked the walk. They've learned everything, and now they're able to be, the angels and the guides and to guide us through everything because they know what our next step is. We don't know what our next step is, but they do.
Nor should we.
Exactly.
But it's also for us to have faith.
Yeah.
And that faith builds self-love. That's faith builds self-trust. That's what it's about.
Yep. And that self-trust is hard. It's hard. And I've had people be like, how do you know what you're hearing? I'm like, when I see a big, huge ice cream cone, and I don't know why I'm seeing a big, huge ice cream cone, I'm still going to say to that person, that sitter, I'm seeing a big, huge ice cream cone. And when she goes, that's the only thing my mom was able to eat at the end, that ice cream cone made sense.
Right.
But to me, I'm seeing a big ice cream cone. But okay, I'm going to say it because that's what I'm seeing.
Right. And that message is not for us. It's for the person that's sitting in front of us. That's one of the biggest things that I talk about in all my classes. If we add things to readings, we add things to the stuff we get, then we're not doing the job. We're not being the radio. We're being the newscaster. And I'm not a newscaster. I'm the radio.
Yep, exactly.
So I'm not here to add.
Something I'm proud that we do too, and I know you've talked about it in Psychics Tonight, but I think it's good to put it out there, that not every person that sits down with you, experienced reader or not, is your sitter going to connect with you. So if you don't, there's nothing wrong with you. Just sometimes you don't connect, or that sitter's not ready to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, or hear it in the way you have to say.
Exactly.
Because you and I read very different. I'm very direct.
Yep.
Very direct. And I say that all the time to all my readings. I go, you called the most direct reader, right? I said, I'm not, if you want a love and light one, let's not go forward because that's not me. I'm going to tell you like it is. Oh, that's what I want to hear. Okay. Are you sure? Put your seatbelts on.
Yep, exactly. But we only get what you need to hear, even though it's not easy to hear it.
Right. Yeah, that's it. We get what we're supposed to hear, not what we want to hear.
Yep. And I've had people ask me, well, if someone was going to die tomorrow, why wouldn't you tell them that? And I've told then you're not telling them everything you're hearing, but there is ethics to it. And that is not our place to say.
No, it is not our place to say.
Yeah.
Because what if we, even if it's a week, how are they going to live their life for the week less? They're not going to live it to its fullest. They're not going to enjoy. I always say, make sure you enjoy your family, take time to be with your family this week.
Yep.
That's what I tell them because it's not our place to tell people that you're going to die.
Right.
That's not our goal, or to be sick or anything like that. An accident.
Yep. Yeah, I had a lady who told me that she had a tarot card reading, and the reader told her she was going to get into an accident and she was going to be paying for 3 years and she was going to do all this stuff. And she didn't know if she ever wanted another reading again because they terrified her. And I said, and I just listened to Spirit, and I told her, I'm like, I know you had to make a really hard choice and you were in the car and you had to go left or you had to go right. And she goes, yes. And I said, and you changed that.
Right. And that's the thing too. When we give you a reading, we're giving it to you if all your choices stay the same. That's why the longer you go out in a reading, and you see it, then your choices become too much, know. And so Denise put in there, Denise put it's true. She said she had somebody tell her, I can't read you because there's nothing to read. And that's the funniest thing is my wife calls me the skeptic killer because, I've given readings to psychologists, because everybody has something to read. It's just the fact that they are hiding it and they don't want to come out. They don't want it to come out. Then they have to deal with it and handle it. If they can hide it, then they don't have to deal with it.
Yep. I was in the hospital 2018 and a priest came in and he wanted to talk. And I was like, sure, definitely. Come on in. Can we pray? Sure, definitely. And I said, now you did for me what you do. Can I do for you what I do? And I did. And to me, that was a huge honor to be able to do that. And he's like, you really did just change my thought. And I'm like, thank you.
I used to get in a fight with priests, so that's why I go, how come you can talk to God and I can't talk to your dad?
Oh, I go through that all the time. I'll be like, well, where do you think, like the Bible came from? Because, the prophets heard the word of God and they wrote it down. So what were they? I mean, Moses talked to a bush. The bush was just a tool. He heard in his head.
Correct.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. If you go down to the whole thing, where do you think Pauline Christianity came from? Or what they call Christianity nowadays. It all came from Paul, and Paul did not live with Jesus on earth. So how did Paul get all his information? Through visions and through prophecy from God. So he would have to be a medium to get all that information, be able to pass it on.
Yes, I love it. I love when you can do. I'm like, come on, this is all good, and we don't do anything bad. I don't. I'm not going to give anybody anything I don't hear. I would never do anything to hurt someone.
And that's unfortunate. And that's why I want Psychics Unite to be strong, because then people know that they'll at least have to be in a place of some ethics. Because we know that the readers that we have in there are of the highest and best good, are there for the right reasons, aren't there just to steal your money and give you long readings or tell you your house is haunted or cursed and you have to come in for $400 to Reiki and Reiki the lawn. Get it? Reiki?
Yes, Reiki the lawn. No, I get it.
You know what I mean?
I agree. That was like one of the first things we talked about, and I agree with you. There has to be, and a bunch of my other friends too, there has to be some kind of ethics, because there's so many people out there and they're reading and they may be great readers, but they're giving things that just shouldn't be said.
Yeah. So Linda asked in the chat room, she goes, what happens if you see a drowning? Do you just not say that part?
Do I see a what?
A drowning.
If I seen a drowning, Usually if we see it, it's how someone passes. But if I had seen that someone was going to drown, I would be like, just make sure you have all of your life preservers, or I would give it to them properly, but not like you're going to drown. I would be like, when you go, just please make sure you take care of this and you do this. And, I would give it to them, make sure you have a life preserver on, something to that effect.
Yeah. I think I've only had like 2 things in all my readings that I've ever saw a death coming. The rest is if I saw a drowning, I know that was how they passed.
Exactly.
So we don't get the premonitions of how you're going to die. Yeah, you're going to die in a car driving down I-43.
Right.
The corner to, no.
Yeah, no, we're not privy to that. That's not our job.
No, we're here for growth, development, for love, for uniting. That's the type of stuff that we're there for.
And if we're seeing the drowning, it's usually because that's the person that's connecting with us, and they're giving us that so that you know who we're talking to.
Yep.
That is how they're saying, this is me. Sometimes I'll actually get the pain of wherever the ailment. I've had my voice just taken from me. I'm like, and then after I acknowledge it, I'm me again. And then I've even had people be like, well, you just did that. No, because let me tell you, I need to breathe. You know how many times I've been on a live and I'm like, I'm not reading right now. You'll hear me be like, I'm not reading right now, because I have to tell the spirits on the other side, this is not what we're doing right now. That's
what I was going to say before. That's why I have a fan on, because my fan narrows the spirits down so I can't hear everything. Because they say, how do you focus? And I say, usually because I have a fan. Yeah. And that's, how do I, how do you focus? My house is always busy. I've got my kids, their friends in, there's always something going on. I've got, 4 cats that just are very loving. That's how it keeps me to where I'm supposed to be, right, doing which one I'm supposed to be doing. And the answer to Denise in the chat room, yes. She wrote it. Just give it to her. She says, so basically I have to be more accepting of the spiritual world in order to read and feel the spirits. And the answer, of course, is yes. And a nice kitty cat behind you. Yeah, that's Mojo Moon. Yeah. He's a big Maine Coon. He's just not as fluffy as normal. I think he's mixed. Oh, Barbara's in the chat room. Hi, Barbara. Oh, hi, Barb. She says, my best friend's husband passes shortly after my husband, and she gets upset because my husband visits me often, and she never feels hers. I tell her she doesn't open herself to receive because she is skeptical. She often questions the visits I receive. Yes, Barbara, that's 100%. And Barbara and I have talked about this in the past. So yes, 100%. Barbara agrees on all this, and she's gotten some great validations. And the connections with spirits is all there. Yep. I just had a little girl that I used to work with. She's like 14, I'm sorry. And her grandpa passed, and she wasn't able to go, to the funeral because of COVID and whatever. And as I'm reading for her, and I'm sending the messages because she's text messaging, and all of a sudden I start hearing My Girl, the song My Girl. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting this song. I know it's for you, but this is the song I'm getting. And she said every grandchild had a song, and he would change the name or whatever in the song, and My Girl was her song. Oh. So, I love that validation. I love that I can give that to them. Right. Yep, I agree. All right. Well, cool. Well, we've now done an hour and 36. So fun show. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Why don't you tell everybody, a lot of people know where they can find you already, but why don't you give all your links and where they can find you and all that type of stuff? Okay. You can find me on Facebook, Sacred Readings and Crafts by Sandy. I do live sales from there. I do readings from there. You can contact me there. Don't ever feel like you can't reach out, because I will always contact back. Or you can catch me at
any of the shows. Usually I'm doing Body Lab, just not this year. I will be out next year. And where else? And soon I will have my own website that's coming soon.
Cool. Just so everybody knows, in the next 2 weeks, I will not have a show. Next week, I'm on secret assignment. And I can't tell anyone. So just give me a prayer for that. Really hopefully it goes well. But on secret assignment next week. And then the weekend after, I'm going to spend, or the Wednesday after, that's the day before Thanksgiving. I'll be at my mom's. So I decided not to do a show those 2 nights. So thank you everybody for that. My readings are on Facebook at Scotty Rorek, Psychic Medium. My website, Scotty Rorek. My Facebook is Scotty Rorek. My Twitter, Scotty Rorek, everything. So just look up Scotty Rorek, you'll find me. But I can't thank everybody for watching. I can't thank Shadow Hunters enough, and Greg and Nick for being around with us tonight. I really thank everybody. Sandy, I thank you. You and Kenny are like family to me, and I love you guys with all my heart.
I love you guys. I love all you, all my little people who come on, and my Greg and my Sharon and Nida and all them that come on. Thank you for everything and for being there and making me who I am, or helping me be who I am.
Yeah. And Nick just posted that Shadow Hunters is going to come on and do a special show the week I'm off next Wednesday. The scariest stuff on Facebook. So come see that right here, the same place, same time, 7 p.m. All our shows on here. So tomorrow night's show, Devin Evans has her premiere show tomorrow night here on Shadow Hunters at 7. And Greg Koss has his show on Friday night at 7. So every night at 7 o'clock, Monday through Friday, there's shows right here on the Shadow Hunters page. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for coming. We'll all see you guys next 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
3,
right? No, 2.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. I'm off the day before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So 3. In 3.
In 3.
Yeah, I'm leaving in 3, 2, 1. Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie.